Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We've just had our tea and we're going to put our head back down again, but we have got condensation. It's very newsworthy when we get condensation in one of my shelters. I just wanted to show you though, but oh, Bella. You can see it's quite, oh Bella, steady. Oh, you big lump. You're a big lumpin', aren't you? I'm trying to show the ladies and gentlemen condensationals. Yeah, we're trying to show the condensation. Yeah, well, you get it sometimes. Hello. Oh, alright, oh, you got a kissy? You got a little kissy? Oh, boo boo. You do boo boo. I talking to a baby. I don't know who's more baby, me or you. Alright, anyway, we've got to show by condensation, and then we've got to put the. We've got to go by the sleep. So yeah, you can see the bottom of the sleeping bag's quite damp. And obviously we've been rubbing the back. So we'll kind of see, keep an eye on it. I think it's more surface. And obviously we don't get rushing first thing in the morning. You know, given we're fairly lazy campers, you know, by the time it gets to 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, especially with the sun rising, you know, quite early, the warmth in here will have just dried that off anyway. Anyway, I just wanted to show you condensation. Right, so you can see condensation there, and you can see moisture on the outside. Excuse my toes. You can see moisture on the outside of the bag. There's some drops there. It's only 8:30, so obviously if you were going straight home, then just pack your bag and get going, just dry everything at home. But inside it feels a little bit it's not wet, it's imperceptible. It's imperceptible, but I can feel that it's not as dry as, say, here. It's imperceptibly sort of, you know, it's like that airing cupboard feel, you know, when you've had something in the airing cupboard and then you take it out and you're kind of like thinking, does that need a little bit longer in the airing cupboard? Yeah, I'll give it another like hour in the airing cupboard. You know, it's almost dry inside, but you know, just needs a minute. It really is. It's like I said, you know, you'd barely know. And obviously we're not in any rush, so if you're not in any rush, don't just whack your sleeping bag into your pack straight away. You know, leave it out. Obviously don't put it on a damp ground or on your tent that's damp, obviously, but you know, just leave it loose in your tent or in the tarp, like I'm just, because it's now too warm to be in it. So although to be fair, my toes are cool, but you know, it's not going to get very dry very quickly because the inside, you know, is still damp. But as the sun comes up, you know, it will dry. Obviously, if you were doing a multi-day hike, then leave it as long as you can before packing it away. And then obviously when you get into camp, that evening, just get it out, the sleeping bag that is, as quickly as you can, you know, to let it air in the evening. And yeah, I've never had a problem. That's why I always go with these, you know, breathable outers, not the water resistant ones where possible. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that. Good morning, by the way. Tea time. It's 8:30 and we're awake. Although we're not going anywhere for a while, but we are awake. We had a good night's sleep. I put my head down about 10 o'clock last night. The night before it was probably like 11:30 when I put my head down, but last night it was something like 10 o'clock. And for the most part, I slept all the way through until about 7:30, 7:45 this morning. And it's really nice. That sun is doing well. So we've got the solar panel over there, which I put it there and left it there last night. So yesterday afternoon, sort of late afternoon, evening, that 10,000 power bank went from about 5 o'clock in the evening or 6, I can't quite remember. It went from 70 to 78%, so it'll another 20% to fill it up, give or take a bit. So given we're not leaving here until probably lunchtime, be interesting. It might even have fully charged by then, given that we've got some really nice sun. I kind of noticed that when you've got really good sun, you can almost go at 10% an hour on 10,000. And then when it's like really overcast, it's like you'll struggle to do 5%. And then that bit in between is like 5% or something like that. I say this one here, we charged that, this to 5,000. And I charged that up yesterday in a right mix of conditions yesterday. Well, it's not even 12 o'clock yet, and that, which you probably can't see on the camera, but that's 100, that's now fully charged 100%. So that's charged that. Of course, I put the big power pack in the pack, so anyway, I'm not going to bother charging that up. So we've topped that up. We've got 10,000 there, we've got 5,000 in another bank, and then we've got half of 26,000. So we've got, you know, we've got more than enough, which I knew we would anyway. That's why I brought the extra. But it is you know, interesting to try these things and just see how much power they get. So last night that charged that from whatever it was, anyway, it's filled it up between late last night and now. I think it was about 70, I think it was 70% yesterday, wasn't it? 70% rings a bell. Well, we started walking, and we were just camped just down there in the lowland area. We've just come up this high bit, and then you can see it gets quite steep up through there. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go a little bit further, and then where that flattish area is there, we'll go down there and then up the other side, and then head sort of that way a little bit, and then get down to the river that comes down the other side of this valley, which is the one that we were camped on. And then obviously we'll try and find something further up, but if we don't see anything, then obviously we can just go down the valley, you know, to where we were 2 nights ago. So that's the plan for now, just to get up over there. Well, that's quite pretty. Not quite sure where we're going to cross though. I mean, we could cross down there. I just have a look, and just have a look over there. I don't fancy trying to step over on that angled piece up there. There's a little path here. We just go up here and just see whether there's a place to cross over there, and then come back over here. And then I think there's another little rivulet the other side, just over there. That one hopefully should be easy to cross. Let's have a look and see what this is like. It's getting quite steep. That's the only thing. We'll have to be careful where we cross. I'm not going to cross down there. We'll just have a look a little bit further up. Again, you could cross there, but let's see if we can find somewhere where we don't need to get our feet wet. Maybe there. Or maybe there. I don't like that. I don't like angled rocks. And then you've got to get from that rock over there. I don't like that idea too much. Quite breezy. We should be able to go from there onto that rock over there. Even though it's angled this way. So we'll try that. Alright, so we got across there safely, and Bella got across easily too. So she's obviously getting much better at jumping. The battery in the DJI is going down. I should have changed it last night and I forgot. So I'm going to change the battery here, and then we're basically going to head over towards those sheep, because we've done 1 kilometre, so we wanted to come about 1 kilometre up before it started to get really steep in there. So we crossed over about exactly where I wanted to fortuitously. So now we want to walk about 1 kilometre in that direction, and then that should then get us to the river that goes down to camp. But it would be nice to find something further up if we can, but if we can't, then obviously it's not very far down to the other spots, and clearly there won't be anyone around at this time of the afternoon. So let's get over that way and we'll have a look. But if we could find something further up off the main path, it would be nice. Plus we'd be a bit closer to the top of the hill, because tomorrow's weather looks pants. So yeah, it would be nice to be able to miss that weather, or you know, be closer to the top. Anyway, I'm gonna get the battery out. I've buried it somewhere, which is very helpful. Anyway, we'll have a rest for a minute. We've done 1 kilometre, so time for a rest, and then we'll get going. I think sometimes it will probably pay me to have a better look at the land, because we're right in the middle of a bog coming through here, and we're stepping from clump to clump to clump to get over there, and we were obviously just over there, so all we needed to do was walk about 30 meters that way and then across some probably fairly benign land and grass to get over here. Instead we're trying to get across. I always do this. Does anyone else do this stupid thing of, rather than, you know, looking around, I think I'm so intent on the ground in front of me that I just never stop to look what's around properly. There's a bird of prey there, and then there's 2 over there. So this is up here obviously is bird of prey territory. Anyway, we got to get out of this. We got to get out of this bog now and try and keep dry feet ish. Right, well, we're overlooking the valley that we want to camp in. I looked over there and I thought, oh, that's a nice flat looking spot. Well, of course it is, because I think that's where we will go if we can't find anywhere else, because that's our spot from a couple of days ago. And I'm just looking, it gets really steep as you go up there. I don't see anything down through there. I don't know whether that bit down there is any good. Might be worth, we've got to go down it anyway, but that spot down there is probably the only place where there's, and then it's just the valley down to our spot down there. I was hoping there might be something sort of along there, but I really don't think there is. I think it's worth a nose to get down there, and then we'll just walk straight over there if not. But we can have a view from up here. So we're obviously further up, so the path that would go down to camp is probably just the other side of this hill, with all those sheep and cows, sheep and ponies on it. They're all heading up there, look. So the path must go down there and down to camp, but it's worth we'll have a look down there in a minute. Well, it's nearly 4 o'clock. We've set up camp. We've opened the sleeping bag out to give it a chance to fully dry, but I think it was fully dry this morning anyway, but we've got that out. We've pumped the airbed up and we're just chilling out at the moment. We've put the 26,000 on, and it's flashing on the second, so it hasn't got to halfway yet. So there was less than half in there, but we've got absolutely stacks because we've got the 10,000 in there charging up both phones, and there's no signal here, so I basically won't be using my Samsung phone, which is what I use for social media or YouTube. It'll mainly just be the Apple watching a film or something like that. I've got some water, but we'll grab some more water, you know, before lights out. I've checked the forecast. It's rain coming in around about 1-2 o'clock in the morning. We've got some kiddies over there, but I think they're going to disappear. I don't think they're going to come over here. Yeah, so I think the heavy rain goes until about 9. So there will be quite heavy rain, so we'll kind of see how we get on with that. We've pitched this way because the wind is blowing towards us, so you know, I think we've got decent coverage under there, so that will be interesting to see how that goes. So yeah, so tomorrow morning we'll aim to go about between 10 and 11. It's still raining. I think it's going to be raining all morning, but it will be light rain, hopefully. The heavy rain's back in at 1 o'clock. Well, we need to be driving before 1 anyway, so we'll head back. We'll head back then. So yeah, we'll just wait for them to bugger off. They're putting their packs back on by the looks of it. And I was just watching a film, but I'll let them go. And I'll have my tea. And it's the usual mess in there. But it looks worse than it actually is. Welcome into evening camp. It's been, I must admit, I've been really tired. We only walked about, I don't know, 3 kilometers maximum, and I must admit I feel quite drained. I've eaten most of my food. I've got 4 small snack bars left, and that's it. I don't have any of the higher energy ones. I've just got 4 of the smaller ones left, so I'll probably have 1 in a minute, 1 before going to bed, and then I've got 1 for the night, and then I'll keep 1 for the morning, plus porridge. I've got porridge for the morning, so I've got breakfast. We got here, we're back in the spot that we were the first night. We looked up there, but it was just tussocky everywhere. There was nowhere decent up there. We did look, so we ended up coming back down here. We've had both the cup of soups. We had both of those mug shots. So they're eaten. There's no signal down here, but if you go up the hill just over there, you don't have to cross any water. It's just up the hill just here, go to top of it. It's not very far. There is a signal up there, so I've downloaded a couple of things to my phone from YouTube, and I've got a load of films and things. I finished Clarkson's Farm yesterday morning, I think. I've got Reacher, but I won't season 3, but I won't start Reacher until the next trip or something like that, because I usually find with these things that I tend to, you know, work right through them, and so if I start that, I'm not going to finish it, so I'll save that for another time. There's no rush. There's no rush or anything. I might actually, because there is rain forecast. I'm actually thinking, so I'm just looking at this thing here shaking. I think I'm going to put a peg in that and just tighten that up so it's not shaking down in on me in camp. So I'm going to do that in a minute. It's really warm. This is probably so far the warmest camp that we've had. Even last camp, you know, which is only a couple of weeks ago, and that was quite warm. I don't think it was as warm as this, because I was getting into the sleeping bag, you know, and even though there were still hours of light, I was, you know, settling in. But it's 7:30. We've still got 2 hours of daylight, or 2 hours before sunset, and it is still really warm, especially under here. Out there with the breeze, it's a little bit cooler. You know, if I was out there for a long time, I probably would be whacking a wind shirt or something like that on, but anyway. But yeah, under here it's a little bit like a little oven. But we've got everything set up. So we've just been up the hill. As I say, I needed the loo, so I thought let's go as far away from camp and the water as we can. So I wanted a signal for the phone as well, just to check that for a minute. So mind you, I should have checked the weather when I was up there, just get an update on that, but I looked earlier. So we need to aim to be leaving about, we ought to be, you know, ideally making progress through packing at 10 o'clock, so that we can be exiting the shelter by 10:30. A bit before would be good too, but by 10:30 if at all possible, so that we can get it collapsed and get walking, because it looks like we've got heavy rain coming in at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that, whatever, and then it's going to stay heavy until 10. And then there's light rain between 10 and 12, and then heavy rain at 12 into the afternoon. Well, to be fair, we need to be back at the car by 12 anyway, really, because it's a good couple of hours to get back, and I need to give my neighbour a respite from looking after Lassie, Lizzie and the cats. So so we do need to get going from that point of view. But from the weather, I think we've got that window of we're gonna just crack on at like 10:30, and then just make sure we're walking by 11, preferably a bit before. A little bit before that would be good, because it's a good hour back. It's a good hour back, because you've got to get up the hill, then around, and then down that slope, and then all the way back down to the car. So it's probably, to be fair, it's probably near an hour and a half to get back from here, at least. It's a pretty good hour and a half. So really, we probably ought to be trying to exit not long after 10, really. So yeah, we haven't, since we've got here, we haven't done anything. I've just been watching a bit of a film and a couple of YouTube things that I've downloaded, and that's it. Oh, hey. The solar panel has taken it from half to 3/4, that 26,000 doodah. So it has added a quarter since 3 o'clock. So that's not bad. And it's been sun, you know, it's been a good amount of sun. It hasn't been sunny intervals this afternoon. It's been pretty relentless, you know, sunshine coming down on us. So yeah, it's been a warm one, let's say. Anyway, I think I'm going to just get this cord hooked up. Just get this tightened up, because what I'm doing is, rather than being straight, I'm kind of just angling the bed a little bit to try and make the most of the internal space on the off chance that it rains, or you know, when it rains, I mean. So we'll see. Hooray! Whether that helps. Anyway, well, and one thing that I don't know how, I'm actually missing one guy line for here, so I need to add a guy line. I don't know, I always bring spare with me anyway, but we do seem to be missing a guy line. Anyway, I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to watch a bit more of something, and we'll either catch up later or in the morning or sometime. As usual, thanks very much for watching. I think we'll be getting my dad back sometime in the next couple of weeks, so I don't know what I'll be doing after that. We'll get we'll have to get private care, like carers coming in a couple of times a day to help, and then because I will still want to come camping, so for that we'll need, you know, when I do that, we'll need extra carers. And my neighbour will do the pets, so I think we'll still be covered for camping. That's, for me, that's kind of like the priority, to be honest. Anyway, we'll catch up in a bit. Oh, anyway, tired. I think it's the heat as well. Right, I just thought I'd show you what I've done. The time, it's 10:30. Just gone 10:30, and there's still a little bit of light, not much. We've made it much lower because the weather is coming in now, so I've lowered the middle. I've put a long line there. A sort of a tip for you is, if your cantilever thing, whatever you call it, drops in too much, loosen the one that's dropping and tighten the opposite side. That brings it forward, then tighten that. So that's given us a bit more room over there. And I've been able to drop the front a little bit, so it's quite low like this, and then obviously we're way back there, hopefully far enough. The wind is coming really directly towards us across this way, so any rain should miss us under there, hopefully. But it's a little bit more having to, a little bit more UD-fied to get in, but you know, there is still, you know, there is still room under here to sit up. Oh, and we've made, you know, the sides, that side quite low, and then I've tightened off that one there and added a line there. We've got this quite low. That one I've not worried about. One, it's kind of downwind a bit, plus it's in a different postcode over there, so we don't need to worry about that. The bit that we need to worry about is what we're nearest, which is this bit here.